We will cover Iran shortly, but before we jump on our table analysis, I want to welcome Mark Montgomery, who is joining us by Zoom to start with an update on Iran. Mark Montgomery served as an admiral in the United States Navy, but also has served in some of the most important jobs that you can have, both at UCOM, CENTCOM, and INDOPACOM. So, Mark, good to have you. Cover Iran, but before we
Thanks. And as an executive director of a federal commission, the most important job you can have, really.
I agree, Mark. So let's start with what is your assessment with how the war has gone so far and where are we today?
Look, from a military perspective, I think Admiral Cooper and General Kane, set up a plan for a 3 to 4 week sustained air campaign to take out the IRGC leadership. As executive director of a federal commission, the most important job we can have. Take out the IRGC leadership and facilities to strike their actual missiles facilities in production, their drones facilities in production, their air defense systems. That's pretty much done. Their maritime systems, ships, but also fast attack craft and mines, and then finally the remnants of their nuclear program. I think they're hitting about 1,000 targets a day right now, maybe 1,100, which is really high for the number of aircraft that they're contributing to this. But I think the reason that number is creeping up is we're starting to use bomber forces, which really bring a lot extra to play. So from a purely military point of view, and then finally the remnants of I think that from a purely military point of view, I think they're doing a very good job sourcing these targets. The problem they're going to have, and I'm sure we'll discuss it, is what happens when political pressure starts to try to drive you to a faster completion. This is a major military, economic adversary. This is the 4 weeks is about the right length of a strike plan. Point of view, I think they're doing a very good job.
Thanks, Mark. My other question would be, since you have covered the broader region, both in the Middle East, in Europe, and Asia Pacific, what do you think are the implications for how other great powers are viewing what's going on inside Iran in regards to this operation?
Well, for Russia, there's a very specific issue. We have historically called Israel the model ally because they gave enough, military assistance. They spent enough on the military. They bought from the United States, and they were there and stood by us. In different operations. Ukraine has clearly shown itself to be a model ally with their support with the ground-based UASs. Israel, the model ally, because they gave. My gut reaction is that Russia now looks like the model adversary because they have been alleged to be providing intelligence support to Iran on targeting U.S. ships and aircraft. So that's going to be a big issue. I think over time, the president is not going to be able to avoid that. I think China is a secondary thing. It's not that how Trump sees it, it's how they see it. And they have to be a little concerned if the United States is able to successfully take control of the Straits of Hormuz and demonstrate that, 12,000 miles away, we can assert our power to do that sort of thing. So from my perspective, I think that's a significant, that'll be a significant lesson learned for the Chinese. They've seen it before. They know we have the ability to project power, but doing it this way against a reasonably well-armed and, capable adversary, I think is a strong message. Our power to do that sort of thing. So from my perspective, I think that's
Great to see you. Thank you so much for being with us this morning. I wanted to ask you about the cyber element to all this. So you've described cyber as a first mover in this conflict to disrupt IRGC command and control. Is the United States currently doing enough to protect domestic critical infrastructure from the drive-by cyber retaliation that you've warned Iran might attempt? I wanted to ask.
Yeah. So I would say before this started, I would have said no. I think your team would as well, that we just don't spend enough on the security of our critical infrastructure in cyberspace. A handful of sectors are okay. Large banks, the defense industrial base, electrical power generation that's anchored with nuclear power systems. Areas we regulate pretty heavily. pretty much everything else, our water systems, our healthcare systems, our education systems, our rural electrical systems, our dumpster fires of critical infrastructure protection. And I'm very worried, and they're vulnerable. Now, look, Iran's not China or Russia, but Iran can, through hacktivist groups, do damage. I think we're seeing that with Stryker, and I think we'll see it with other companies. But these are temporal, micro attacks. I don't think Iran is able to put together a macro attack that takes down either a sector or regionally does a significant amount of critical infrastructure disruption. Um, and but China and Russia can, and this is a good signal to us that even a less skilled adversary can do damage to the United States, and our companies and our government should be investing more significantly in the cybersecurity of our critical infrastructure.
Or do you guys want to ask one last question, maybe to Mark?
Mark, great to see you this morning. My question to you is, how do you rate the Iranian military response so far? Anything that they've done that surprised you? And how do you evaluate the U.S. military's ability to achieve this goal that General Kane stated at the outset to eliminate Iran's ability to project power outside its border? Great to see you this morning.
Yeah, thanks. So first, I take the last part first and say, since we clearly aren't trying to get regime change, or at least aren't doing an effective job of it, that is the actual principal mission here, to limit Iran's ability to project power outside of it. And I think we will be successful in that. I have been impressed with certain parts of the Iranian response. First of all, their ability to target and hit missile radars and control centers, and is impressive. Hitting like the bird, trying to hit a hotel, not impressive. I mean, if you want to hit critical infrastructure, we can't defend everything everywhere all at once. I have been disappointed. I mean, you guys at SCSP and me know from our time in Ukraine that there was an obvious need. You can't just rely on aircraft with APKWS rockets or missiles to defend your critical infrastructure against a drone attack. You needed a ground-based drone system like General Cherry's Bullet or Octopus, or probably the best system, Eric Schmidt's Mirabs. All these systems, $5,000 to $15,000, 75 to 95% likelihood of hitting a Shaheed. Those should have been in play. They're getting in play now very abruptly and haphazardly with Ukrainian assistance. But that was something that was completely predictable 2 years ago, 18 months ago, 12 months ago. And the failure of the United States and its Arab partners to really tackle this issue is causing a lot of damage.
Mark, thank you so much for your time. As always, great insights. And we'll make sure to bring you back on as this unfolds. But again, appreciate your time, Mark.
Thank you very much, Elliot.